So I have something very unique and special and aligned to share with you now. It's almost like a sidestep or an expansion or an add-on to the Heka codes and the alchemical formulas and what we work with, which is ancient philosophy, to create and manifest, right? So this video is called The Four Powers of the Magi. Okay, now it is the four powers of the Magi, but it's also the four powers of the Sphinx, and it's also known as the Witch's Pyramid. Ooh, this sounds very interesting, doesn't it? Well, I've kind of been in my kind of researcher mode and really unlocked some stuff here, which I thought was very, very cool that I want to share with you. So what exactly is the four powers of the Magi? Well, let's first of all talk about who brought that forth. And it was a guy called, I have to say his name right, Eliphas Levi, and he was from the 1900s. In fact, he was born on February the 10th, a day before my birthday, so that made him an Aquarian. So he was an occultist teacher. He was, a philosopher of magic. He was a writer. He was a sage. There's something very, very powerful about those people at that time. I've always said it, there's something about the 1900s, the early 1900s, where there was a massive, massive portals open, the esoteric, occult kind of teachings were really, really big back then. And if you think about Egypt, all the old pictures of them in the 1920s, Louis Armstrong blowing his trumpet outside the pyramids, lots of women with their parasols on top of camels. And in that time, I know loads of people that have got ancient artifacts, as it were, from their grandparents that went there at that time, my grandfather included, So there was a massive, massive energetic portal in that timeline, in the 1900s. So there's a lot of powerful teachings back there. You know what I mean? We don't have to go back to ancient times. I think a lot of it sits here. So I'm going to be looking at all my notes because I'm going to kind of decipher and share with you like what he speaks of and what I'm going to share with you, which really lines up with the Heka codes. So the Heka codes is actually, or Heka is magic and medicine. It is all aligned with the ancient philosophy through Thoth, which is the Hermetic principles, and all of these guidelines, if not... guidelines on how to create, how to manifest, how to work with magic, but in a real way. Not just magic as in this is something that, only happens now and then, or it's not really that real. Isn't that funny that that's how magic is actually, if you say that to somebody, what's magic? And they're like, well, it's that thing that's not really real. It's that Harry Potter stuff. Harry Potter's real, So... I know millions of people that would agree with me on that. You know what I mean? So now I'm going to dive into it. So like I say, the names of this particular teachings is the four powers of the Sphinx, the four powers of the Magi, or the Witch's Pyramid. Okay. So the four things. Let's just dive in there, right? So I'm going to talk about now the number one on this list, which is to know. So the first power of this is to know, okay? And its element is air. So this is his writings and teachings. The pursuit of knowledge, awakening of intellect, delving deeper into the truths of existence, exploring the mysteries of the universe, grasp the hidden connections, understand self. In terms of practical magic, you must know what you want to achieve before you set out to do it. This is the intention phase. This is exactly the same as Heka, as in seer, being the god of perception. This is where I bring in the deep diving into perfecting your intention, your vision, your idea. This is what to know speaks of, the first power of the Magi. So to know what we want to achieve before we set out to undertake it. So there are other descriptions and maybe explanations on what that first part is, to know. It also means to know one's superpowers and abilities. So if you are really, really good at understanding a certain teaching or a certain skill ability, it's about knowing your craft inside and out, upside down, and just really being very adept in that. You know what I mean? That's to know. So it's for me, I'm always researching, as I'm doing now. I'm always deep diving, always unlocking, always pondering, always channeling, always matching that up to that, and getting and attaining mastery basically on what I know and my superpowers and my gifts and everything like that. So that is to know. I suppose you could say to know self, which is what they mention here. To know your gifts and abilities, which I'm always going on about. You need to know what your superpowers are. If you don't, you've got work to do. To know what your mission and purpose is. All of these things are very, very vital and hold great importance for you to understand what your intention is, because without an intention, you're just floating around in the ethers. There's no anchor, there's no rudder. Okay, so that's that. So the second one I want to move on to now is to will. Okay, so to will is the element of fire. Okay, the transformative force of one's intentions and desires, aligning one's will with the divine will, harmony and balance, basically, which is what true manifestation, that's where that comes from. When we're in divine flow and everything's coming into our space and landing, that is when we are in a harmonious balance with our energy field within, and we're like harmony, flow, and all of the above. That automatically, obviously, matches with that of the universe, because that is the flow of the world, of the trees, of the stars, you know. So that divine match means that we are then able to receive everything that we have called for, right? Because we already have it. We just got a match to it, you know. So aligning one's will with the divine is and divine will. Okay, focused and disciplined application of personal energy. So what does that mean? Focused and disciplined application of one's energy is practicing every day. Practice channeling every day. Do your automatic writing. You know, for me, doing, reading books, going back to Egypt again and again and again. You know, anything that may inspire me or activate me or assist me in my growth and transformation of basically being focused and disciplined in being able to access that part of me that can just attain mastery. Because that's what mastery is. Repeating something over and over and over again until you get really good at it, right? And if you look at, like, if you see people, they say, when you see somebody who has just got effortless flow in their life, you're watching them do something, you're like, my goodness, think of a surfer, think of a skateboarder, think of a spiritual teacher, think of, a professor, think of a builder. They have practiced that, and they've studied it, and they've got it, and they've practically applied it, and they've gone there again and again and again to get it so good that they've attained mastery with it. But mastery is an infinite thing. It will carry on going. So it's practice, practice, practice. Embody, apply what you've learned. Embody, apply what you learned. And just keep going with that, right? So to will is to understand the power of intention. So you see, so to will runs on to know. So to know is all about intention. To know where you're going, who you are, what you're doing, what you're working with, so on and so forth, okay, then leads you in to will, okay? So that is where he's saying to will is to understand the power of intention. So that is like divine will. There can't be divine will if you don't know where you're going or what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? If you don't know where you're going or who you are, there's going to be no inspired action from that. How can you run off into the world with that and go, right, this is what I'm going to do? If you don't know who you are, you're just going to be chasing butterflies. So you understand how the two one leads into the other. Okay, to dare. So this is the element of water. Embodies the courage and the willingness to confront challenges on the path to self-realization. So let me say that again. Embodies the courage and the willingness to confront challenges on the path to self-realization. So what he means by that, what Eliphas means by that, is that you have to face your fear to be able to expand, transform, and grow. One cannot do it by sitting in the same place, doing the same thing, thinking the same things, i.e. I'm in lack, I don't have any money for this, I can't go there because of that. So if you're thinking in that way, you're going to be a cave dweller and nothing's going to change for you. So you embody the courage, so you get the courage, okay, and the willingness to confront challenges, because there will be challenges, because those are the keys that unlock the door that turns you into that transformative power and encourages you to actually grow and change from where you're currently at, right? And then the challenges are on the path to self-realization. Self-realization is becoming, seeing yourself as a master, knowing yourself as a master, being a master, like really that's the embodiment process, right? So break free from the constraints of fear and embrace the unknown with confidence. Let me tell you, no one can actually move through this. You can't go out and do what you want to do without facing fear, without digging deep for your courage. It's like, it's not something you can bypass. It's not possible. So I spent many years getting ready. Let me just get ready before I go out there, and let me get ready before I even think about doing a tour. Let me just do some more study. Let me just procrastinate. Let me just go, hang on a minute, next year. You know what I mean? You're never going to be ready. So this is what to dare means. It's like, are you daring? Are you going to dare to step out and actually face the perceived blocks, constraints, and kind of like challenges that make you feel a bit fearful? Or are you going to run head onto them to be able to go and get that thing that you want from within, to unlock that thing from within, right? So it is a call to action, pushing seekers to manifest their inner potential in the external world. Let me say that again. It is a call to action, pushing seekers to manifest their inner potential in the external world. So as I've said, this is kind of like Hugh, the second part of Heka. So Seer is the god of perception. You know, you got to have the idea and the intention. And I suppose you could say the will is also Hugh, transformative force, stepping you into your path and everything like that. That is still Hugh. Hugh is the stage of Heka where we actually breathe our ideas into being. We really start to go, right, I'm going to make this happen now. Do you know what I mean? And also to dare is also an element of Hugh, okay? It is a call to action, pushing seekers to manifest their inner potential in the external world. This is what you are supposed to be doing. So the frustration and the anger and the tears and the snot and the of basically you not getting out there or doing anything is because you are not responding to the call to action. You are not manifesting any of your ideas or anything like that. And then you're having a tantrum because they're not happening because you're not pitching up to the party. And that is the deal. That's the dealio, yo. And let me tell you, from speaking from experience, none of these things I do in my life have I done it like, oh yeah, this is chilled, this is cool. Like I've always said, on the outside looking in, oh, she's off to Egypt again, she's off to LA, she's done this, that, and the other. Do you have any idea what goes on behind the scenes? Like when I'm just like vibrating with fear and like, can't do it. Oh my God, the smallness comes up and I have to sit with my inner child and go, you're okay. So also let go of that perception when you look left or right or out there that others are kind of like doing things and they're in that action phase, that you're like, oh, well, they just find it so easy. No, we don't, because I go through this to know, to will, and to dare. To dare is the make or break, is it not? It's very easy to have to know. The intention, the idea is great when you're sat on your sofa watching Netflix. You can easily have an intention because it doesn't really challenge you that much to kind of like think of amazing things, right? But when you get into will, okay, and you're talking about the transformative force that that kind of births one's intentions and ideas, aligning one's divine will with the harmony and balance. Well, that could still be done at home, comfort zone, you know what I mean? Just kind of like working with clearing your shadow and all the rest of it. But it's when you come to dare that you are being called to step out and action. And I'm actually doing this video because so many of you, blessings, and I'm going to help you with all of this because this is what I'm here for. Tablets of Light Tour. I did a live the other day. And so many of you have reached out to me and said, I want to come to Egypt. I want to be there. I know I'm supposed to be there. Well, okay, the 4 Magi powers, or the 4 powers of the Magi, like the 4 powers of the Sphinx. Well, let's get this done, shall we? So this is basically where it gets a little bit challenging. Can you dare to step in to the space, to go beyond your comfort zones? Because you can't bypass it. It's inevitable. So this is basically where we're at. Either go into your comfort zone or stay where you're at. And staying where you're at is in lack, doubt, frustration, all the rest of it. It's not that comfortable, is it? Or dare, push through the comfort zones. Either way, it's a little bit uncomfortable and it's not really like cocktails, you know what I mean, by the pool, is it? On either side. But one is going to take you to growth and transformation if you just face your fear and just look at your shadow and go through it. But one is going to keep you in there infinitely, which is in the dark, basically, which is just staying where you are. So that's to dare. Now, this one's very, very interesting. It's called to keep silent. This is the 4th power of the Magi. Now, this is an earth element, right? So let me just read it. Not all truths need to be spoken. There is a wisdom in the silence, okay? To keep silence is to guard the sacred knowledge acquired on a spiritual journey. Now, I want to just reference here. To keep silent is to guard the sacred knowledge acquired on a spiritual journey. Now, there was one point where Yeshua was doing one of his final initiations in Avalon. And he'd done a deep dive into the sacred well, the chalice well, actually. And he was with his uncle, Joseph Arimathea. And he went into a huge shamanic journey, and he entered into the well, and he went into the underworld, the womb, the darkest place, the deepest places. He went through some very big transformative stuff. And like I say, these were like, the Avalon is all about the heart chakra. So once he'd done Egypt and Persia and all in India and all that kind of thing, he ended up now in Avalon, which was heart chakra. And it's very like water energy, and it's rejuvenation and restoration. So it's kind of like he really came back to the womb. And there was massive things that happened to Yeshua when he deep dived into that well. Now, as he came out, he's very excited, and he was like, oh my God, this happened and that happened. And Joseph Arimathea put his hand on Yeshua's shoulder and said, speak nothing of your experience. Keep it in. And then he just, you know, how many of us, and I know I do it a lot, I'm like, wow, through the awe of it, I'm like, this happened and that happened. What do you think these videos are all about? You know what I mean? These things happen. And then I'm like, so the silence now is about embodying the whole experience to you, and not everything do you have to speak of. And also the reason why we must keep silent is because we want all the medicine to come through our whole being and embody it full. And then you can live and apply those knowledge and wisdom that you've received, and then live by it a little bit, and then share it. As the Tao says, as Lao Tzu says, you know, a true master, you know, or a true, you know, you're in your truly being in your authentic self. You are receiving these gifts, embodying them, living by them, and then giving it a good test run for a while, and only then imparting your wisdom once you have now turned knowledge, because that's what it is when it comes in. First of all, it's knowledge, then you embody it, then you live by it and you apply it, then it turns into wisdom, and then you share. That's why you're a wisdom keeper. Now, I did something similar. I remember channeling Merlin a while ago, and he was like, until you have embodied your lessons, hold your tongue. He told me off, because he's also a very, very powerful teacher to the, you know, to us students, as it were. And yeah, that was a good telling off, because I always get very excited about things, and I always share things before I've benefited from them. And that's a receiving thing. So that's very interesting, to keep silent, right? So I carry on reading what Levi was talking about, right? Only share with those who are ready. What does that mean? Okay, so you know what it's like when you start sharing your truth. Sometimes it can freak people out and they're not ready to hear it. Maybe because they're in a very dark pocket of shadow, or maybe they just don't understand it and they will be scared by it. And then what they will do is they'll come back and they'll counteract you. And then all of a sudden you're in a debate about fighting for your truth. And when you're truly in your space, ego is like, it's got to be devoid of that. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, you know, everybody can feel what they can feel, and they're allowed to do that. And, you know, then, but when we start getting into who's right or who's wrong, and it's a spiritual debate, then both of us are in our ego, right? So only share with others who are ready, you know? So yeah, discernment, right? Discernment. When we share our hopes and dreams with others without discernment, unexpected energies are invited in, and projections of others will land. This is the most important one, actually. Do you know what I mean? Because you might come with an idea. So let's go right back to the beginning. So you've worked with to know, to will, to dare, to keep silent. This is the most powerful part, because now you've got this idea and you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to go and travel here. I'm going to create this idea. And then people are just like, oh, but what about this? But have you thought about that? And like, people might be jealous, or they might be fear-mongering or whatever. And then all of a sudden, this divinely downloaded idea that you've just gone, wow, this is amazing, has now been distorted by other people's energies. They know not what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? But when you have a baby, or a newborn baby, are you going to go and take it out to the world and let everybody hold it and slobber over it and sneeze over it? No, you're going to keep that baby at home for a while and just, you know, make sure everything's quiet and peaceful and nurture. You know what I mean? Keep it to yourself, you know? So the power of wisdom in discernment. Now, that's something that I'm working on all the time, because this likes to just talk. You know what I mean? So that there is the power, the 4 powers of the Magi. Now, how interesting that actually dovetails to the Heca codes, right? So the reason I'm sharing this is also as well for and I'm going to address the comments. I'm going to reach out to all of you and have a chat to you about that, you know, because you're watching this on YouTube. So if you are wanting to go to Egypt and you really, really, really feel the call, because you're my soul sister, man, or you're my soul brother, you know what I mean? Of course you want to come. Of course we want to unite. Oh, and everything's holding you back because you're in lack, and you're going, I don't have enough money for, I don't have enough time for, I don't know how this is going to happen. So I am in lack equals I am in lack times a million. So when you are in lack, that's your contribution to the world. That's what you're thinking. That's what you're breathing. That's what you're doing. Okay. And then what happens is that vibrates out there. And what happens? Law of attraction. You just get more of it. So you're always going to be in lack. So guess what? You're in lack. And are you going to go to Egypt? Probably not. You know what I mean? But you are the creator of this movie. You are a very, very powerful philosopher of magic. Believe it or not, you're an alchemist. And if you're watching this video, you're an alchemist. We're all alchemists. You know what I mean? This is why I do these videos. This is why I do this work. Because I'm like, wake up, smell the coffee, understand what's going on here. So this is my call to action to you. So already we have the Heka codes on, out there, and we already had now we have the four powers of the Magi. So what about working with these to know, to will, to dare, and to keep silence? Start living by these. I will you to go back and take notes on what I've shared with you today. And then for those of you, and this is a real call to action, those of you that are truly serious in changing the narrative, in claiming and proclaiming your power and stepping into a completely different existence than what you're what you're in now. Okay. There is no reason why you cannot be on the Tablets of Light Tour 2025. Okay. It's a bit much of an axe when I'm saying, can you come in a month or so? Maybe you can, maybe you can't, whatever. But realistically, those of you that have reached out, 2025 Tablets of Light. Okay. So what are we going to do between now and then? Are we just going to sit there and will it? Or are you going to actually self-realize yourself as a very powerful manifester, as a master awakened or awakening, and take control? So I am calling you now to reach out. I will be holding, after I get back from Egypt, I will be holding a Heka Codes master group, okay? But also as well, the one-on-ones Heka. Once you move through that process, and basically the Heka is all of the Levi teachings, the power of the Sphinx, is all of that interwoven. So you have to commit, place something on the altar, give an offering. Now, if you really want to step onto the next level, work with me. Let's get the Heka Codes, activated within you. Those are your powers of alchemy. Once you have that remembrance of how these teachings work, once you're empowered, you can't be unempowered again, right? So if that is your intention to know, your will is basically focus, discipline, and application of personal energy, meaning now you need to practice. You need to practice your manifestation skills, your powers of laws of attraction and so on and so on. Then you're going to dare. To dare would be book your time with me for the Heka Codes. If you want to change this and you want to do the Tablets of Light and you want to go to Peru and you want to go here and you want to go there, this is your portal to it all. This is why I'm on the video every single day. And then to keep silent is just keep it to yourself. Work it in your cauldron, work with your alchemy. Know that everything that you want to happen or you want to come into manifest, it comes from in here. Nowhere else, here. So now, this is a case of, do you dare to step into the circle and bring an investment of time, money, energy, whatever it might be, and you come and meet spirit at the 50-yard line. You come and meet yourself, your higher self, at the 50-yard line. Are you a contender? Are you giving your sacred yes, or are you saying yes, but you're refusing to get out of the cave? That's on you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, did I have this going on? I was a cave dweller for a very long time. And I'm doing it now. And I'm moving forward. And I've got the formula to know how to move from cave dwelling to out there dwelling and keeping it moving. And there's more and more of us joining this because we're remembering that we're alchemists. We're remembering the ancient teachings. We're actually living by these very, very simple templates. And these because it is simple. It actually is. And through that sharing with you, to know, to will, to dare, and to keep silent, I know you would have listened to that and gone, yeah, that's my sticky point. So do you see how just me sharing with you already, you can actually ascertain and decipher exactly where you get stuck? Now, that's a huge awareness and a step forward. So now let's step in, let's commit, make some kind of commitment, which will turn into devotion to your intention. Tablets of Light 2025 or something else, whatever that something else is. So I just want to let this land with you, and I will be teaching more on this. But right now, if you wish to actually discuss your Heka Codes mentorship with me, the group, which will be coming after May, because I'll be in Egypt up until May. So it'll be the second half of the year. However, the one-on-one is highly potent. Expect the unexpected. And when you start with the Hega code, speak to all the people I've worked with, your life will go up in flames. But it's a transformative flame. It's a Sekhmet flame. Everything will change and you will be asked to change with it. That is what you are fearing. But you know what? When you're holding my hand, you hold my hand and you hold the hand all of the others that have come and joined me, and we will move through it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing a collective together, and there's quite a few of us already. So you want to join it? You just got to give your sacred yes, give your commitment, lay it on the altar, place it on the altar, and away we go. So that's it. And that is all. So always with so much love in my heart for you. And I really enjoyed teaching and sharing this with you today. So I hope it lands somewhere. Peace.